that we all been waiting for the past 4 weeks. Been super studying the Go for No and putting together our challenge and all of that good stuff. So I see Mr. Dunbar is back. All right, sir, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Miss Tillies, and appreciate you, Miss Andrea Waltz, for being on with us this evening. And we're going to get right into our interview, guys. Just want to make sure that you guys understand the housekeeping rules. Please make sure that you have your camera off and your microphone off. We don't want anything to be interrupted here because we are running live on YouTube as well. So thank you all for not only joining us tonight, but for really being a part of not only the Go for No challenge that starts tomorrow, but also being a part of the workbook training that we've been doing. We are now on week 5, and we've been having a fabulous time. Some really great conversations going on with this workbook training. And it's all because of this fantastic book, Go for No. And you guys know that this has been one of the top selling sales books for years. And we have the pleasure to speak to one of the co-authors of this book, Ms. Andrea Waltz, who has helped put this concept together that has changed sales all over the world, not just in this country, guys, all over this world. This book is in several different languages, and you guys are going to have an opportunity to hear from the author of the book what went through her mind when writing this book. So, guys, without further ado, I want to bring to the table our guest speaker tonight, our trainer, our interviewee, Miss Andrea Waltz. How are you doing today?
Hey, good evening, Robert. I am so glad to be with you and Tilly's and everybody here tonight. And I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a great chat. We're going to talk about failure. We're going to talk about rejection. So it's going to be fun, though.
Absolutely. So, of course, you know, the number one question that anybody has for you is what in the world was going through your mind when you and Richard Fenton came together to write a book to tell people to go for no, when we've been running from that word all of our lives, and we thinking yes is what makes us money.
Right. It's a great question. And it's actually kind of a marketing challenge because we all go for yes, right? Ultimately, that's what we all want. But that's why the subtitle of the book is so important. Yes is the destination, but no is how you get there. So we want yeses, absolutely 100%. The problem is that we're all biologically wired to avoid rejection, that we don't want to get rejected. It doesn't feel good. We avoid it. We end up procrastinating on things, or we talk ourselves out of taking chances because we come up with excuses like, well, we'll look stupid, or we'll feel silly, or how is the other person going to take it? They're going to think I'm some pushy, aggressive salesperson. But really, it's all about embracing and understanding a very timeless principle that is the foundation of the book. And that is that you can't have success without failure. You wanna be more successful. You're going to fail. And this is true in every business and in every industry. You look at people in music, you look at actors, you look at writers, they all face a ton of rejection as they're putting their work out there. They're going to producers, they're going to music companies, they're going to publishing houses. They get turned down, they get rejected. Every business that you can think of, innovators, inventors, salespeople, we all face rejection. It's part of the process. You can't have one without the other. So I know that was kind of a long answer to your question, but that is the foundation of the book, and it's really, really important because it really sets the tone. But Robert, if I can back up, because I want to kind of tell everybody a little bit about the story in the book. Can I do that?
Absolutely. That's what we want you to do.
Okay. So I think probably the majority of people in this room have read the Go for No book, and there's a story in there, which is a story about how the main character, Eric, he's a pretty decent salesperson, but then he meets, this wildly successful future version of himself, and he's trying to figure out, where did I go wrong? Because I'm kind of this average salesperson, but there's this other very successful version of myself, that's out there. And it was this one little event that had happened to him way back years earlier when he was selling suits for a living, and he had this great sale, for those of you who remember, and he had this great sale, and he thought his district manager was going to pat him on the back and reward him. But instead, his district manager said, well, what did that customer say no to? And he had to admit and come to the conclusion that that customer hadn't said no to anything, that everything he showed that guy who was in that store to purchase clothing, he bought. And then he had to admit that the customer didn't say no to anything. And then Harold, the district manager, said, well, then how did you know he was done? Because the guy never heard no, he never heard no. He ended the sale because the man who he was taking care of had hit his mental spending limit. And so what a lot of people don't know about this story is that little story was something that happened to Richard. It happened to my husband. And he would tell that story frequently at sales meetings at the company that we worked at together. We met back at LensCrafters. We both sold, I was running a $3 million location. I had worked my way up the ranks, and he told me that story, and I completely embraced it. I realized that, and I actually, this is kind of embarrassing to admit, I actually thought that I was a superstar salesperson, that I was fabulous. But then when he told me the story that's in the Go for No book, because it had happened to him, I realized that I wasn't as good as I thought because I didn't like to hear no. And so it was at that point that we decided that we had the same customer service philosophies, sales philosophies, management philosophies, and that what we needed to do was, and this was Richard Fenton talking me into this, that we were going to quit our corporate jobs and launch our company, speaking and training and teaching these different philosophies, including Go for No. And Robert, that's when we decided to write the book Go for No, because we knew that in addition to training and things like that, that would be one of the things that we should do, would be to write this book and get the message out. So we actually wrote that book now. It's been out for actually just over 20 years. So a while. It goes back. Yeah. It goes back. Yeah. It goes back a while.
And that book being a great sales book, and what I hadn't realized, I hadn't really paid attention to, is that it's a fable. So what? So why is it a fable? Why Go for No? Why is it a fable?
Yeah, well, we could have written it as a kind of typical, how-to book, but we really think that a lot of people learn best by reading a story, and we wanted to have people kind of see themselves in the main character, to kind of put themselves in his position. And I think most people, we all strive to do well. So our main character has, he has flaws like everybody, right? He procrastinates, he gets drawn off into different tasks. And so he's not a bad guy, he's not a bad salesperson, but he's not like the top performer either. So we kind of wanted him to be average and to have people aspire to be the really successful version of him, like this other successful version of him that he meets. So just the idea of meeting a version of yourself 10 years from now and what you could learn, what you would find out, what experiences you would find out are happening right now today that are impacting you, that 10 years from now will be like the life-changing experience, like the thing that changed everything. And so we were really interested in that as an idea. And so that's why in the book, he meets this future version of himself, because we just really thought that was cool. And so obviously, if anybody hasn't read it, we're giving away kind of the twist, which is it's a little bit supernatural, right? It's a little bit supernatural in terms of the fact that he's kind of time traveling and he's meeting this other version of himself and all of these things. But we just wanted people to have fun with it.
Well, see, that's not supernatural for me because I'm a Gemini. So it's like two of me here right now. Right. So we know that stories sell and facts tell. So you guys were so ingenious to come up with an idea to create a story out of it, because stories are powerful. I believe that network marketing as an industry, this book has been like just a hit for the network marketing industry. And we believe in branding and stories. Stories are so powerful in that industry. So this book goes so well there. And we just learn from stories. So I think because that's my best part of the book. Harold explained that to Eric, that I have used that with my team. I have used that with other sales companies when I'm training people, because it's just a perfect example of how we have that mental spending limit, where we will not ask people to spend more than we are willing to spend. And that book really hits home with that. And it really does help people understand that question. So seeing that this book is such a heavy hit in network marketing, I would say more than 50% of the people that are on this interview tonight are in network marketing. So what would you say? And of course, obviously, the next training is going to be on Go for No for network marketers for that reason. So what would you say to the network marketers here on the line that are looking at, I'm going for no, the phone is really heavy, whether I'm recruiting or doing the B2B sales? What would you say to those individuals about that message from the book? What does that mean to them?
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, and I alluded to this in the beginning with just this idea, this model of failure and success. It's so important, and it's hard to grasp, but not grasp. It's hard to get used to at first, because we've all been so programmed, all of us, to be successful and not fail, right? And so grasping and really living the thing of the idea, the principle of you can't have success without failure, that they're a package deal. They are opposite sides of the same coin. You want more yeses in your life, you've got to be willing to hear more no's. And like I said, we're biologically wired to not be rejected, to not get kicked out of, our families and our society and all of these things. We're wired that way. So it's always going to feel there's always like a little physical gut punch to that. But if you can change your mindset and say, wow, when I'm hearing no, this doesn't mean, and this is so important for people in network marketing. I think people get in and they learn about the company, they learn about the business model, and they think, this is great. Like, this is a great product. This is a great service. This is going to be easy. People are going to say yes to this all day long. And then when they start talking to people about it and they get some resistance, they think, and they get some no's, they think, oh, this wasn't the opportunity I thought it was. This isn't any good. I'm hearing no, like this should be easy. People should say yes to this. And of course, what we know about human behavior is that they're hesitant to change. And they sit back and they see you out there doing something new. And basically they sit back and they fold their arms and they want to wait for you to be successful. And they want to wait until they see, I'll wait till you go on the annual cruise or get the award or whatever, right? There's a lot of judgment and there's a lot of things to that. And so I think there's this tendency to say, like, I'm getting no's, I'm on the wrong path. Like I should be getting yeses, everybody else is getting yeses. And that's just not how it works. That yes and no are, again, they're a package deal. And so when you start with network marketing, you're going to hear a lot of no's, especially in the beginning. And as you just learn to read people and you're having conversations and you're making appointments, you're setting appointments and you're getting in front of people and you're making presentations to people, the more you do that, the better you get. So that's the one thing. So that's the one big principle, is just because you hear no doesn't mean you're on the wrong path, you made a bad decision, and you're not going to succeed. It's part of it. It's just part of the process. And that's something that the Go for No for Network Marketing book talks about so well, is that it's part of the process. And then here's the other thing, and this goes to Robert, your point of the experience with Harold and Richard selling those clothes and hitting this guy's mental spending limit and not wanting to hear no during that process. It really comes down to what Richard did wrong in that moment was he made an assumption. And the assumption was that, oh, I have shown this guy X number of clothes, a suit, a sport coat. He said yes to everything. He's got to be done. Like, he's just got to be done. In his mind, he's thinking, I would be done if it was me. So he ends the sale and he rings this guy up and sends him on his way. And we all make these assumptions of what people are going to spend, but also what they're going to decide and what they're going to do. And we look at somebody and we tend to, this is just normal, but we prejudge them and we say, well, I'm not going to share this with Barbara because I know she's really busy. She's got 4 kids. Her husband's sick. She's not going to want to do a business. Well, we don't know that until we share it with her. So maybe all those reasons, her husband's sick, she's got 4 kids, are the exact reasons why you need to say, hey, I want to show you something. It may not be for you, but I just want you to take a look at it and make your own decision and tell me no if it's no. It's no big deal. But I just want to let you know about this opportunity or show you something that could help you in the future and benefit your life. This particular product is really important for you, blah, 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 right? You get the idea. So, but here's the reason we make that assumption. We make that assumption because we don't want to hear no. So the assumptions become like this protection. Every time we don't want to hear no, we come up with like an assumption. Well, she won't do it because of this. Oh, he doesn't have $20 a month to make the payment or join the business or whatever. I would never ask this person. We don't know that. We're making it up. So those are the very 2 big things for network marketing.
Good, great. So, I was always taught in the world of business, especially in network marketing, to be a practitioner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn over the next few questions to my good friend, my training partner, Ms. Tues, who has not only read the book several times, but has grown a very fast building network marketing business by introducing this book to her team, which is just showing great leadership because she's leveraging the information from the book by not learning it and then telling them what to do, but bringing them in the fold and saying, let's read this book together so that you can now learn what I've learned and then share with your team as well. So Tilly, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to you for you to ask some the next few questions.
I don't have the questions, sir. I was trying to get your attention. I don't have those, so you'll have to continue.
No. Go ahead and ask the question. You could. And while you're asking that question, I'll shoot you over some other questions.
Okay.
You read the book. You read the book enough. You know what questions to ask. Don't get shy on me now. I talk to you every day, so I know better than that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I guess one of the things that my team and I have often wondered in regards to the book, the idea, and I heard you say earlier, that your husband actually lived this out. And I think a lot of people, when they are starting out in a brand new business, or maybe they've been here for a while and they mentally kind of check out. What was one of the things that you wanted to really come across to people as they start to build a business? They start to go for those no's and they start to have those pitfalls. I remember there was one part in the book where Harold he had already met his future self, and then he started to interview different people. And there was one part in the book where he got to, and we often refer to this in some of our trainings, where he was illustrating the kid in the cookie store. The kid in the shopping cart, and the kid just relentlessly would not give up. And finally the mom goes, okay, just one. And so as we live that out and we think about that, we kind of chuckle because that's the way kids really do. But respect to business, do you feel like maybe, and I know a lot of people say, I don't want to be pushy, I don't want to, just invade people and be overwhelming and too pushy. How do you kind of wrap that around that, what you were trying to express in the book, in a part of not being too pushy?
Yeah, Tilly's fabulous question. And also, I give you a lot of credit because this is how you know somebody's a true entrepreneur, because you were just tossed this in your lap, right? And I know Robert well enough now. I'm not surprised that he did that to you. But that's how you know a true entrepreneur, where you definitely think on your feet. And so that's great. And a great question. I love this question. No one wants to be the pushy, aggressive person, especially when we're talking to people we kind of know. Like if we're talking to a warm market, we're talking to like a friend of ours or someone in our family or whatever. So right off the bat, yes. How do you weigh this idea of this childhood tenacity that we all had, and get that back, but also not be that pushy, aggressive salesperson? And really, it has to do with your mindset in terms of being persistent, and being positive, but understanding that no is a perfectly acceptable answer, and our goal is to make people not super relatively comfortable, like comfortable having a dialogue with us, comfortable saying no if it's a no. And one of the things I think sometimes people, when they hear go for no, they think, oh, so I should expect to hear a no. Well, no, that's crazy. We don't want to expect a no. We don't want you going in and praying for a no, right? We want yes, but it's accepting that no as part of the process. But in your mind, when you get a no, or you have somebody who's hesitant and you see like they're not calling you back, they don't message you, they let it drift, that persistence comes in where you just say, you know what, I know that I can tell this person's hesitant, they're not getting back to me. And so the strategy in those moments is just to say, and to kind of have not a separation in terms of, hey, you know what, I really wanted to show you this, show you this opportunity, or tell you a little bit about, our products, just sit down with you or get a few minutes with you, but you're not getting back to me. And so I just want you to know that it's totally fine. And I won't bring it up again, or I'll check back with you in 3 to 6 months just to see if anything has changed, that type of thing. We want to respect people. If we're sensing a lot of hesitation, then it's okay to back off and to say, okay, they're just not ready yet. But I think what happens is people, they back way off so fast. And sometimes it's that very first no. So if you talk to somebody and they say, no, I'm not interested in that. And plus, that sounds like one of those pyramid schemes, right? Yeah. And so in that moment, I always look at it as, Mike, the question I always ask is, what's my next move? What do I do right after that, where I get the no, or I get some kind of comment, and to me, it's always keep the door open. So, if you get that real negativity, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's one of those pyramid schemes. What makes you say that, right? And you can have that dialogue. Or if you don't want to go down that path and you just say, all right, well, if that's how you feel about it, no big deal. It's not for you, and kind of pull it away. But always be in the back of your mind that you haven't given up on this person, that things can change. And we've all heard, and I'm sure people on this training tonight, and even yourself, where you've talked to somebody and they drag their feet and then finally they kind of see the light, and it has happened. And so it's never about being that pushy, aggressive salesy salesperson where we're going to twist people's arms, have them do something they don't want to do, but also we're not going to give up on people. So it's a delicate balance. You know, it really is. And I'm glad you brought it up, because that's the type of situation where, you know, it's like the elephant in the room. Like, let's talk about this. That is just the reality of business is, I have had people who, you know, in our business of speaking, I've had companies where I still get no from them. And I've wanted to speak with them. I've wanted to work with these companies for years, and I still get no. And I'm still staying in touch with them. Every now and then, you know, I just reach out and I say, hey, you know, I know you guys are having your conference in 6 months, and here's an article I wrote recently you might be interested in. And it's just a way to stay in touch with them. And that's all you can do. And if it's a no, it's perfectly acceptable, because we don't want to ever pressure or make people feel like they can't say no to us.
Yeah. That kind of brings me right to the next question, is that persistence piece, because there is a fine line between feeling pushy, but yet being persistent. Taking that no at the end, or when to simply just back off and, like you said, do what you're doing, which is finding another reason to reach out. So how should someone persist?
You stay in contact with them. And someone actually, this is kind of like a similar question. Somebody said, how do you go for no and build relationships? Right. And they are completely one and the same. Because what does this all come down to? It all comes down to courage, to me. It's having the courage to reach out to people and stay connected with them, and to just see what's going on in their lives. So if somebody says, like, I don't have the money for this and I don't have the time, those are their two big issues, right? I don't have the money, I don't have the time. And then you say, all right, well, I understand. And here's kind of the interesting thing about this business is, sometimes when you put a little bit of time and effort, you actually get more time later, because you can financially free yourself. But I understand if you don't have the money and you don't have the time. Just let me ask you this question. Do you mind if I check back with you? Now, I'm assuming this isn't like a good friend, like that you're talking to all the time. Do you mind if I check back with you? And by the way, I don't know if everyone can hear, my cat has decided that she's very interested in tonight's training. So she's howling at the moon.
They always do that, don't they?
Yes, right at the beginning of this, she decided that she wanted to play. So you say, you know, I totally understand. Do you mind if I check back with you in 3 months just to see if anything has changed? That's that foot in the door, get permission. And if that person says, no, I never want you to bring this up again. I don't like this business. I don't believe in what your product is. I don't believe in your service. That's perfectly fine. And now you've got a good no. And what we like to say is sometimes a good no is better than a bad yes.
Yes.
Right. And so at that point, you just say, fine, I'll never bring it up. I won't bring it up. But if somebody says, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't think anything's going to change in my life in 3 months. And well, you know what? After what has happened in our country over the last 12 months with every crazy thing that has gone, 3 months is a lifetime, right? Like, yes, things change, like circumstances change. People are moving, people are, you know, my God, what has happened. So, get their permission. And if they say, then adopt a follow-up system. And I think someone even in the chat said, you know, how do you drip on people? And it doesn't have to be long, complicated things. Just check in with them. Hey, how's it going? What's new? How's your husband? How's your wife? How are your kids? You know, you guys hanging in there? And update them and say, I'm still doing this business and it's amazing. And I'm doing trainings. I'm getting all this amazing learning and training, and it's great. And you can even let it go. You don't even have to bring it up. So it's just building that relationship.
Mm-hmm. I love that you
Courage.
said that, because I love that you said courage, because a lot of people, what I feel and what I found in and working in the past couple of years in network marketing is that people, it's not that they don't have courage, but they have a built up fear, that fear of rejection that really holds them back. And when you talk to them about it, or you say, hey, what's happening? How many people did you call today? Or, what's happening in your business? How are things going? Well, they reached out to three people, and three people said no. And now everybody said no. And I really think that after getting that, a lot of people get fear, that fear of rejection. Have you noticed that? How prevalent is that?
Absolutely. Because Tilly's, it's wired into us to not be rejected. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's like some biology, and our brains are trying to protect us. Like our brains are trying to say, if you get rejected, you will be living under the freeway overpass tomorrow. and so you're sitting there going like, that doesn't sound good. Of course, that's not going to happen because that's
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous, right? But our
Mm-hmm.
brain is very good. Our brain will make up all kinds of scenarios where, things will just completely spiral out of control. And I think the really important thing, and this was something that I had to study, and I've done so much work myself over the years of just teaching Go for No. Here's what we have to recognize about taking things personally and taking that rejection personally. It's really easy to take that rejection personally. One thing, we can't look for validation from other people, from outside people.
That's good.
What they think about your product is that's on them, what they think about you. And the interesting thing about taking it personally is that, it's really not about you, even when it's about you. Like, even if someone doesn't like you and they don't like what you're wearing and they don't like who you are, that doesn't say anything about you. It says everything about the kind of person, right, that they are. It's
Mm-hmm.
who they are, and it's how they were raised, and maybe what their beliefs are, and all of their baggage. Like people who say, "Oh, that's a pyramid scheme." Well, how did they come up with that? Maybe their
Right.
parents told them it was a pyramid scheme. Maybe they had a friend in, college who they watched get involved in something, and the person, said, "Oh, it was a pyramid scheme and I lost my money and I'll never do that again." And so they have these just beliefs, and it's everything to do with them. So I always tell myself, like, it's not about me, even when it's about me. I'm involved, but that's all on them.
Yeah. I mean, we do somehow internalize that to be something personal to us. And I think that's where we get into that. I can't pick up this phone. It gets super heavy. How many times do I need to follow up until, that's simply the end? I mean, when it comes to different type personalities, I find that the different personalities sometimes lead that. Like, what about introverts and people who are non-sales people? They say that, oh, I'm an introvert. I don't have many friends. I don't talk to a lot of people. Oh, I don't like sales. I mean, how can you use those ideas for those type of people, the ideas that you're talking about right now, to kind of
Mm-hmm.
help that group that feel that way? And I know we have some people on the line too. A lot of times when we're talking, they don't want to ask a question or they don't want to say anything. I know deep down they're saying, I don't want to say anything. I'm an introvert. I don't like to talk.
Right, right. Well, a couple of things about that. Now, it's hard when you're trying to convince someone that they would be good at something when they're holding on to, and this is what I've seen. Sometimes people hold on to, I'm not a salesperson, with a badge of honor, right?
Mm,
Like I'm not a salesperson. I'm better than those horrible salespeople. And so I am an introvert, and I really don't believe that. I should say, I very much believe that people can change, and introverts do very, very well in every field. especially because introverts, I think, they tend to be maybe slower in decision making, or a little bit more analytical, or a little bit more thoughtful. And so they actually can relate to the people that they're talking to even more so, because they're not swept up by a lot of fancy talk and seeing like a slick brochure and going like, oh, I'm sold. This is going to be great. No, they're thoughtful. And so I think their example actually can be super powerful. The key to this thing also is, and remember, going back to this idea of failure and success, we have to give ourselves permission to fail. You said sometimes, and you're so right, the phone feels heavy and I'm going to call this person and I'm going to look like a fool, or what are they going to think? You're not going to die. You're going to survive. I remember talking to Jack Canfield. He wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and one of the co-creators of that, and he said that self-confidence, because this is all about, like, so much of it is self-esteem and self-confidence. And he said, we build self-confidence by successfully surviving a risk. So every time you do pick up the phone, every time you message someone on Facebook, every time you do call up a friend or reach out to someone and say, hey, I just want to tell you what I'm doing. Here's the thing. I want to make a presentation for you. That's a successfully survived risk but you're not going to die from it, but it's still risky in your own mind because you feel like it's risky, because we've been wired not to get rejection. And when you survive that, your self-confidence builds. And when you see people at the I see this all the time, people at the annual convention, they walk up, they get their incredible reward and the roses and the trophies, and they go on the trips, and you think like, how are they doing it? They're just risking more often, and they've stopped. Their self-confidence has just built to where they're okay with it. They went through that growth period and that awkward phase of, how is this going to come across? And what if I fail? And what if I look foolish in front of someone? They just forced their way through that to where it doesn't bother them anymore. They numbed themselves to no. And we do that by giving ourselves permission to fail, permission at every turn. I mean, just to say, hey, if this doesn't go perfectly, it's going to be worth it, because when I successfully survive the risk, regardless of the result, doesn't matter, yes or no, but just to put myself out there, my self-confidence will build. And it's really interesting what happened with even Robert, because, and you as well, because you're a leader, this as well, but, him throwing the questions to you and saying, no, you ask your questions. You've read the book, you've studied this, you've been training on it, all this, right? He's basically saying, I'm going to make you take a little risk because it's going to build your self-confidence. And so what hopefully you saw tonight was, I just got thrown this thing. It was put in my lap by Robert, and I just stepped up, and I was like, amazing. And so that hopefully builds your self-confidence. So this is just the process. It's just the process with going for no.
I love that. I love that analogy. What I love about what you just said was people need to be more authentic. They need to be more authentic. We often say, a client or a customer doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if you're being authentic, it won't sound sleazy and salesy. I was talking to someone on my team today, and they were like, well, just give me a script on what I should say when I call people. I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want you to have a script. I want you to just have a conversation with people, and they will see that you're being honest and real with them, as opposed to reading off a script, because everybody thinks there's a special script and that's how you did it. But really, people just want to see that you're being real with them, and they don't want to hear a script. So that brings me to my next question. Go for no seems negative. I have a lot of team members that when I first brought this book up, they were like, no, we can't. We got to keep our minds positive. And me getting the no, that's negative, right? So how do you explain that to people?
Yes, yes. And that's a great question as well, because a lot of people do see it as negative. What I like to say is that it is a negative. It's a negative reality. But I find it far more empowering. And I think a lot of people do once they get over the initial hurdle. And this is why we require influencers and leaders like you guys to say, hey, no, you really should read this book. Because when people do have that knee-jerk reaction, but the reality is there. People are going to get rejected. People are going to say no. If the yeses were just easy, then everyone would make tons of money, and then it would just be easy and it would be ridiculous, right? And eventually that's not sustainable. I mean, salespeople are the highest paid in the world because there's so much rejection, that people say no, that you have to talk to a lot of people and take them through the process. That's how it works for every business, for every industry. So I think the worst thing would be to say, hey, Sue, sell this product to this customer and join this opportunity. And you know what, if there's, just pretend rejection doesn't exist. Like if you get rejection, just pretend it doesn't exist. And Sue's thinking, but it does exist. So you're telling me, you're just telling me to just pretend this is this is that elephant in the room. This is a huge factor. So I like to say, let's look at this negative reality, but let's turn it into something empowering, something that we can control. We can't control most often what ultimately the customer is going to decide or do. I mean, they ultimately are going to make their decision. Right or wrong, we disagree with it, but it's theirs to make. And we need to respect that and handle that no gracefully and just receive it. And respond positively. And when we do that with grace and stay positive, that's where we can really start reprogramming the way we think and feel about it, and we can change our confidence. And so it really does become a positive. I'm all about, if you can go for no with yes energy. You don't need to walk into conversations with people thinking, oh, I'm going to fail, I'm going to get nothing but no's. Have that yes energy, have that, I'm going to do the best presentation I can. There's a saying, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough, something like that. And I'm going to do the best presentation I can do, and it is what it is, but I'm going to accept the fact that the no's are out there rather than try to pretend they don't exist, which if we do that, often just keeps people from doing anything at all. So I'd rather equip people with the tools necessary to move through those rejections.
Yeah, I love that, because people do need help with that. And that just brings me to the last question. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Dunbar so he can jump in there. But what would you say to someone who can't seem to get a yes? I mean, no matter what they do, they've gone through the numbers. They're like, I'm being authentic, Miss Alizé, but everybody is saying no to me. How do I get a yes? So what would you say to someone who just can't seem to get a yes?
Yeah, that's tough, because that happens. And sometimes we all get on, like a sports player. I mean, sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the basket time after time after time. Eventually it will. I would say to partner up with a mentor and work both sides, work both what you say without being scripted. Totally agree with what you had to say on that. But also, start reaching out to more people. The more practice that you get, the better skilled you are. And sometimes people, the perfect presentation that's wordsmithed, and you practice it, but it's never delivered, doesn't get you anywhere. I'd rather have the worst screwed up unfilled, ridiculous, bad presentation that gets delivered a lot, you'll get better at it. So up your quantity and get out there just practicing. It's not that you can't go back to these people. They're not going to remember and go like, wow, when I saw you last time, that presentation, you missed a couple of paragraphs. No, they have no idea. They're not paying any attention. You go back a few months later and you go like, hey, I wanted to mention to you, I am still doing this amazing business. We just launched this new product and I just wanted to tell you about it. It's a perfect way to follow up. So there's all kinds of ways somebody, if they're just struggling, get a mentor and work on getting your quantity up.
Yeah, I love what you said, because in the book, Go for No, when we read this book as a team, that was one of the biggest things that we took out of that, with the science to know part, right? That science to know part. So Mr. Dunbar, do you want to jump in here and ask a few more questions, or would you like me to continue on?
Hey, Miss Andrea, how are we on time? Because I know you got some other things going on. I don't want to hold you up.
I can do a few more minutes. I'm good.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. So I know that in the course we've been talking about some things as far as the failure and success relationship, because people seem to think, another really great part of the book that I like that stuck with me for years, like when I first read it, I think probably I would say that this is probably the most the strongest point when it comes to making the no's make sense, as it being, you have to get them to get the yeses. Was when I read, because I was able to familiarize with this. When you're driving somewhere and you see familiar landmarks that let you know I'm about to be home. So right, I'm heading home, and you get more excited because you're passing things that let you know you're going to be home because you're tired, you want to get in the house. And those no's should be looked at that, because those no's mean that the yeses are coming. So the relationship between failure and success, there is a relationship there. And people seem to think that, right? If you see failure, oh, wait a minute, hold on, let me turn around and go back the other way, because that means I went the wrong way, when really it's together. So we had this conversation on our training during one of our classes. And we had me and Tilly's, we went over, failure is not a negative thing. It's only negative in your mind because you've been told that it's bad. It's only a word that's you've been trained to think failure is bad, so you think failure is bad. It's really not bad if you look at it and say, no, I'm failing because I have to fail to get to success. Now I say, no, this is a positive thing when I see that coming, because that means I'm being successful. So what is the relationship between success and failure?
Yeah, we made a fun little video about this too. It's on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/go for no. And it's a little fable. It's really a story. And I even hired this voiceover artist from England to like voice it over to make it sound like an old-fashioned fairy tale, because it's about the relationship between failure and success, literally just as you said. And I wrote this down, Robert. That's really interesting, that the no's are landmarks, on the way. That's an interesting way to think of it. And so I'm definitely gonna pick that little tidbit up from you. I like that, because they are signs, And Richard always says, when he's doing training, he always says, you're driving in the car and you see the sign marked failure. And a lot of people see that sign and they think, well, I must need to turn around and go back home because I'm going in the wrong direction. No, you need to keep going, because that really is part of the path. And when you look at everything that we've done when we're young, and when you look at whether it was learning to tie your shoes, or you were learning to ride a bike, or you were learning to play an instrument or something, or even master a video game. I mean, literally could be anything. And you fail and fail and fail, and you just mess up and you make mistakes over and over. But it's like when we get to high school and even before that, all of a sudden it's like, we've got to be perfect. And business is all about learning. I mean, people join businesses, oftentimes they've never been entrepreneurial by nature. I know I wasn't. And there's so much to learn, and there's so much growth that needs to happen. You have to embrace that failure, because if you don't, you're going to quit almost immediately because you're going to think, I'm just not doing it right. I should be better. I shouldn't be making mistakes. I should know all this. How should you know all that? You have to give yourself a break and give yourself permission.
Good stuff. So I wanted to also talk about, it was one more question that I saw that was really prevalent to some things that we spoke about the other day. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Setting the no-goes. So I just talked about that yesterday. We had like this super, it was just like a super passionate conversation yesterday on the training about like, that is it right there. Like setting the no-goes, like that is the call for action right there. Because that is why when you transfer over, it's like, okay, I heard it, I read the book, I listened to the book, I took the classes, I took the notes, like all the stuff we do, right? The stuff that we never read again, we never go back and put it into implementation, right? We don't exercise this thing, right? It's getting the gym membership and walking around the gym with a Java juice, but we don't actually get on the equipment, right? So it's like setting the no-goes. That is go mode. How do we set the no-goes? Because that flip is where, like, you guys did such a great job in the book where you said you have a good day in the beginning, you just lost Big Mo. We talked about last night. Big Mo comes to visit, you're a bad host because you said I'm gonna make 20 calls today. You get 3 yeses, and now you're like, I'm gone. I'm closing down. I had a great day today. But if you flip that and you set no goals, you're forced to keep going. How does that work?
Absolutely. So we all typically set yes goals. And so let's say at the beginning of the week, you decide that you want to, and it could be anything, yes goals for anything. Let's say you want to make 2 sales for the week. And so you have a couple of meetings with a couple of people on Monday, you get a couple no's. On Tuesday, you have a couple of meetings and they both go well, and you get your 2 yeses. What do you do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And the answer for most people is nothing. They're done. They wanted to get the 2 yeses. They got those 2 yeses. They're done. If they had meetings scheduled, fine, but they're not going to go out of their way to schedule more meetings, to make more conversations, to make more calls for the rest of the week. With no goals, we back up and we say, okay, we want to get 2 yeses, but what would happen if we got 20 no's this week? So on Tuesday, if you had 2 meetings go well and you got the 2 yeses, but let's say you only also heard 2 no's, you'd have 18 more no's to get for the rest of the week. And what that means is that you're going to need to make more calls. You're going to need to get in front of people. You're going to need to get presentations. And what happens is most of the time, those extra 18 no's will turn into yeses, either then or later on. And so you've taken that 2 yes week, and maybe you end up with 3 yeses or 4 yeses or 5 yeses because you were willing to go for no. So go for no, setting those no goals is all about just making sure that you're doing the go for no behaviors, that you are going out there and you're making those presentations and you're talking to people. And so, I don't tell people, hey, you've got to get 100 no's this month, or we never recommend what it should be, because it's different for everybody. It depends on their level of commitment and where they are on their business. But you've heard the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Like if you eat an apple a day, it's healthy. So I always say 1 no a day keeps a bad business away. I mean, can you just imagine, like, if you were someone who's right, who never goes for no, but now you've decided I'm just going to get 1 a day, what would things look like in a year? And to when you think about go for no, right, you have this guy and he's 10 years now in the future with the future self. What if you got 1 no every day for 10 years? You'd be a millionaire. I mean, you'd have to be. You would have so many conversations. You'd get so good, even at 1 no a day, that you would be hugely successful, because no one does that.
Good. No, I like the answer. So I'm going to ask you one more question before then you can go ahead and let us know whatever you got coming up next. If there's any books you got coming up next, anything that you want people to plug into to follow you because it'll be beneficial to them. The last question I'm going to ask, and you can kind of go into that stuff, is like your business. Like, what failures did you have when you started your business? Because it's like, okay, she wrote the book. So like, what was your no experience when you were building your empire? Like, what kind of no's were you dealing with, and what was your insight? What happened there?
We don't have enough time for this. We're gonna have to extend the call another hour. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you, but I will just say this: like when we started, we had not a lot of money to put towards this. I was cold calling companies, talking to them about our concepts and selling them on training. We had a horrible website. We bootstrapped everything, but we were passionate about it. And I knew that the most important thing was to find out who the decision makers were, get in contact with them, speak their language, and just keep at it. And so that's what we did. I mean, we had plenty of failures along the way, made so many different mistakes, just learning mistakes, sometimes made the same mistake twice, lots and lots of failures. Go for No was a huge failure at first. The book, we designed our own book cover because we didn't think that we needed to hire a cover designer. Our book didn't even sell for the first 4 years. It sat in the garage. We had thousands of copies sitting in the garage until this guy called us and convinced us to change the book cover, and we did. And then it started to sell because people were actually starting to read it then. They weren't reading it with the horrible cover that we designed. So we made every mistake. We learned every lesson, sometimes multiple times.
Wow. And I never knew that. That's great. And it's something that small. And I've learned that it's a simple tweak. So thousands of copies sitting in a garage and correct me if I'm wrong, to now being one of the top 50 sales books in the last 11 years.
Yeah, we've been in the top 50 of sales books for 11 years now. So, I mean, but it took us being coachable, because we were given this advice, and this guy called us and he said, I want you to know that you've written one of the greatest books in the history of sales, but you guys have created one of the worst covers in the history of publishing. so if you guys would change, will you change that? And he said, and if you change it, I'll order 5,000 copies. And we said, we will absolutely, of course we will change it. But I believed him. I believed in what he was saying, and I realized that was a mistake. And sometimes you just have to set your ego aside and you're like, okay, that was a failure. That was embarrassing. It was stupid, but let's pick up the pieces. Let's change the cover and we'll keep going and see what happens.
Great. So go for no. So here comes the back end. So we're in sales, right? And what I love about sales is, like, as long as I'm adding value to people, I don't ever care about what the cost is, because either you want it or you don't, right? You know, it's just a Bentley just doesn't cost too much. I just can't afford one right now, right? There's nothing wrong with it. I just can't afford one. So what do you have for us? Do you have anything right now that's marketable that we should be buying from you to get better at what we do? Because we're all in sales. Everybody on this Zoom right now is in sales. What do you have that they can get from you that will better their business?
Well, we've created quite a few tools lately, and one of the tools, and let me back up too, and just invite everybody, if they haven't come to goforno.com, we have our free no quotient quiz, which is on the homepage. It's about halfway down, right-hand side, a little red badge, and it says take the no quotient quiz, and it's a fun 20-question quiz to see kind of where your mindset is, like, and if you've read the book, you hopefully should do well. You should do better than most people, but you can come take the quiz. So I'd love people to do that and read the blog and things like that. So that's all free. But we did create some tools. Like, one of the cool things we created was this Go for No Challenge workbook, which is on Amazon now. And it's got a tracking sheet, and it's got kind of the behind the scenes of the challenge, you know, why to do it, what the benefits are, and a lot of just great, like, training stuff. Like, we have a daily notivation here, which we call not just motivation, but notivation.
That's clever.
Yeah. So we have the Go for No challenge. And if people really want to, like, go deep, Go for No, we have an online course at our website. just come in and take a look. I think what I've heard from people over the years is that they get immersed and go for no, and that's great. But it is one of these things that's easy to forget. And so you want to have that motivation in the back of your head, because sometimes we forget, even we forget, and then we think like, oh, we should really ask. And then we say like, we should just go for no, right? We should just ask. So it's something that I think is a lifelong skill that you can build. You just have to kind of remind yourself.
Good. So the Go for No challenge book, and we're about to do a Go for No challenge for the next 30 days. So the Go for No challenge that we're doing, will that book go along? Will they be able to use that book to really?
It totally goes along. So there's tracking sheets in here, and so I don't know if it will completely correspond to what you've created. Doesn't really matter. There's some other things in here that we talk about, like, for example, we kind of outlay the 4 selling styles. There's 4 different kinds of selling styles. And Tilly's brought this up, about being, delivering good service and not being that aggressive salesperson. So we talk about like the sales stigma and some other things in here, and really kind of the why to do a challenge, and some points about some FAQs, what counts as a no? How do I increase my no's? Should I be trying to turn a no into a yes? And so those are kind of fun. The rest of it is just really tracking sheets though. So it may or may not, be, it's certainly a tool that they can use ongoing, because let's face it, hopefully people will do multiple challenges, right? For a long time.
Absolutely. No, that's good. That's great. Miss Tilly's? I know she's somewhere. So do you have anything specific that you want to leave us with before you go, that you think that, like, that question we may have not asked? Because again, this is even still now, I'm finding out every day, because I'm constantly doing stuff with Go for No, because I'm in that mode,
right,
with doing the training and starting the challenge, that this is a concept that is huge, and it is way outside of the United States of America. It is a huge selling tool and a mindset change. So is there anything that we didn't ask that you think is just so relevant that you think that you need to leave the audience with?
I guess I would just leave everybody with, and you're right, Robert. And it's interesting that once you think on the surface, it's just really simple. And then when you start digging in, you realize all the nuances. Yeah, there's so many nuances to Go for No, so many layers. And I've learned that teaching it myself for the last 20 years. But I would just leave everyone with this idea that there are these Go for No moments in your business. We all have them. And a Go for No moment is the moment where you have the opportunity to ask, and you're either going to get a yes or you're going to get a no. And it's the moment of truth. And the goal is to execute as much as you can on those Go for No moments. In that moment of truth, just remember that you have the courage it takes already inside you to do it. It's going to be a successfully survived risk, no matter if they say yes or no, and that your goal is to execute on as many Go for No moments as you can. So I would just remind people that that's your goal.
All right, good stuff. That is excellent. We thank you so much for your time. You said 45 minutes, has been longer than that, so I can always appreciate a person giving, and it lets me know where your heart is at, and that's always good, because I deal with a lot of people. Some just starting and some that's been successful for as long as you have and longer. And it's good to see somebody with just like a great heart that's willing to give, because I can tell, like, I have that gift. I've been given that gift to be able to tell when I'm dealing with a person that they love what they do, and they will give the information because they want to see people do well. And I really want to appreciate you for doing that, because when I started doing the training, you could have really like tore into me without calling me. Right. Because I told people the story, like, you contacted me with like the sweetest, nicest tone, and it was just like, hey, look, hey, we didn't give you permission to do that. And it's like, you follow what I'm saying? So it was so good, because you, at the end of the day, it was, but what I like about it is you're giving people the information that we want people to have it. We want people to understand how to Go for No. And I really appreciate you for doing that. I really think that it's really great when a person is just genuinely a nice person and they enjoy watching other people succeed, because we see so many other things when we look at the news and we look at social media. People will attack, and they don't want to see people do well. And you truly wanted to help, and you were like, "Hey, no, I don't want anything. I'm gonna come in and do this for the group." And I said, "Well, does it matter how many people I get? Because I'll try to get a lot of people. So it doesn't matter. I'll talk to however many people you have, because I want to see them do well." So I really appreciate you for doing that, and I will promote you to the end of time for that, for having that great of a heart. No, I really will.
Oh, thank you.
I
Thank
will do
you.
it because you have a good heart, and that really means a lot to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm listen, I mean, like you, I'm passionate about this stuff, and I believe in it, and it's changed my life, and I've seen it change so many people's lives, even in the smallest of ways. And so, yeah, I just love it. I think it's probably the most important life skill you can have, is just learning the courage to ask.
All right, good stuff. So guys, if y'all can do me a favor, unmute and tell Andrea how awesome she is before she goes. Unmute and tell her how awesome she is.
You are amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Incredible. Incredible.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great.
This was game-changing information. Awesome meeting you.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for
Sharing
giving.
your successes and failures with
Thank
us.
you, Mr. Dunbar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunbar.
Thank you.
Amen to
Thank
that.
you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I guess we had a whole bunch of smart women in the world, because our men ain't sure. The women was like, we come to see this information. I'm looking at the audience. It's like overwhelmingly women.
Hey, we here, brother. We here, brother.
Yeah, man. We here, man. We here. You know, there's more women out here in the world.
Very, very much.
We here, brother. Don't even do that to us.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
This is awesome. Well, good stuff. Well, Miss Andrea, I know you got some other things going on. I appreciate your time. And I will be in contact.
Okay. Sounds good. Good night.
All right.
Hey, we here, brother.
So, guys,
We here, man. We here.
go. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Go For No challenge.
We here, brother.
1 second. Let me get everything muted here. Hold on. All right, there we go. All right, so guys, real quickly before we go, just so you guys understand the Go For No challenge, I want to make sure you guys all understand that for the ones who are going to be participating in it. I did put the link in here, so if you scroll up, you'll see the link for the Go For No challenge. I've already got the Zoom link created. Once you register once, you can go in it every day. You don't have to register every day. So it's already set up for the next 30 days to go on that Zoom link. So here's the general rules on how everything's going to work. So we're making it user-friendly and facilitator-friendly. So the sheets for Go For No, I'll put those links in there already as well. So I'll share those sheets with you guys. I'll share the screen so that you guys can see the sheets, so you guys will know what's going on. And don't worry about if you don't have them. If you don't have them, you can't find them, don't worry about it. They're going to be emailed to you. So that's not going to be an issue at all for you guys to worry about. So what if you change your sales goal recipe? So you're going to get an email with this. This sheet is fillable, guys. It's fillable. So this sheet and this sheet, right? What if you change your sales goal recipe? This right here, you can type the information in yourself. It says make 20 calls to get 10 touches for 1 yes. That is the yes sales goal recipe that you probably already been using. On this side, it's the no sales goal recipe, which is go for 9 no's instead of 1 yes, because it'll get you to make more calls, right? And then you can put that dollar figure there on what you make when you do that. So if you do the old style, put that there. How many, you got that 1 yes, what did you make on that 1 yes? And then if you go for 9 no's, let's put what you're gonna make there on the 9 no's. And then now you'll see the difference in that money. Once you have this sheet, you can do them as many times as you want. Right here, and these rules I'm telling you guys, for this sheet, this is not something that you have to turn in. This is something for you to track what you're doing so that you get better, because we want this challenge to make you better, right? So it says chart number 2, which is here, right? Just round up the no's for a small increase in yeses and increase your income. So here, make 20 calls and get 10 touches for 1 yes, right? The same as chart number 2. But here we're going to increase a little bit. Instead of going for 9 no's, go for 10 no's, which is what the sheet is going to do here. So let me move this, right? This is the sheet for the 10 no's. This is your tracking sheet, guys. It's fillable. You don't have to print this off. Pull it up on your computer, right? You go get your no, mark it, click it, and just say, Tilly's told me to get lost. Boom, there go your no, right? Go to the next one, click it, put your no in there. That's how you keep track of your no's on your go for no, right? So go for your 10 no's right there. And right, so now it says go for 10 instead of 9. It's going to get you to force you to make more calls, which means you can now increase your income. And then if you sell something, put that income there. Now you can now you're now looking at your increase in income, right? Right here, now we're talking about doubling, guys. So make 40 calls to get 20 to 25 touches, right? And why are we saying touches? Because you can only count a yes or a no if you actually speak to somebody. If nobody answers, then you can't get a yes or a no. A no answer is not a no. A no is somebody saying they're not interested right now. A yes is somebody saying, sign me up, right? So make 40 calls, get 20 to 25 touches, and then about 2 to 3 yeses. Well, how about if you went for 18 to 20 no's, right? Go for 18 to 20 no's, and then it says compare your financial results. So if you go for 18 to 20 no's, and then put how much money you made on that day when you did that. And how do you go for 18 to 20 no's? Just fill out 2 of these bad boys, right? That's going to get you your 18 to 20 no's. And again, you're not turning this sheet in. This is for your own record. What you're going to be turning in, guys, is you're going to be just calling into that Zoom, right? You're going to call into the Zoom. And when you call into the Zoom, and I put that link in here, that's one you're registering for. It's going to be open from about 11:55 a.m., 11:55 a.m., 7 days a week, until about 12:20 p.m. That's a 25-minute window. All you're gonna do is you're gonna dial, and let me stop this share. Oh no, hold on before I do that. No, I'm gonna stop it now so we can see each other here. So what we're gonna do here is you're gonna dial, you're gonna have that 25-minute window. You don't have to talk to anybody, right? You don't have to wait for somebody to get on. I'm not going to be on there. The Zoom is just going to be open. You're going to come into the Zoom and you can just verbally say, I got 5 no's today, and then jump off. Or you can go to the chat and put, I received my 10 no's, right? And hit enter. And they're going to be there, right? That's going to be there. That's going to be recording. So every 10 days, I'm going to send an email out to everybody that's participating, and they're going to get a email with 10 days of that 20-minute window being open. And that 20-minute window is not only going to have what people called in and said, but it's going to also be a chat on the side. And that chat on the side is going to have whatever people typed in. So you guys will know that people are being accountable to their go for no's. We're going to do that for 30 days. After the first 30 days, if we want to keep going, we're going to go to 60. If we want to go after that, we're going to go to 90 days. But the top is going to be 90 days. And it's really to help you get better at sales and get better at understanding that going for no will make you more money. Now, on top of that, daily dial-in, right? Or call into that Zoom, which if you do not, right? If you said, I'm not going to make calls every day because I don't make calls on the weekends, or I'm a 7-day Adventist and I don't make calls on Saturday, or I take Sunday off. Doesn't matter. If you take Sunday off, you take Saturday off, if you take Thursday off, doesn't matter. You're just not going to call in your numbers on that day. Calling your numbers on the day that you actually got numbers. So the challenge starts tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be your first day of activity, Thursday. The first day to dial into the Zoom is going to be Friday to report your Thursday's numbers. You guys follow that? So Friday at 11:55 a.m., that Zoom will be open all the way until 12:20 p.m. And it's going to be that way from this Friday, all the way until the 5th of June. It's going to be open every day for you to put your numbers in. There's going to be a weekly call, a training call for 30 minutes. Every Wednesday at 9 o'clock, from 9 to 9:30, we're going to have a training call to help you overcome objections, They help you avoid objections. And I'm going to have guest speakers on here as well that's going to talk to you guys a little bit about things you can do to get better at sales, people that are great at sales. So you're going to have that too. So every Wednesday at 9 o'clock from 9 to 9:30, a quick little 30-minute Go for No Challenge sales call. And then every day from Friday of this week, you'll be able to call in that 25-minute window and check your numbers in. This is to help you guys get better at this. There's no cost to this Go for No Challenge, obviously, guys. And there's also going to be a Facebook page. So in the email that you guys receive, you're going to see the Facebook page. You're going to see all the different documents. Everything will be there, right? It's 12 o'clock p.m., guys, Eastern time. The reason why I'm saying a.m. is because it's going to open up at 11:55, which is going to make it 8. So 11:55 a.m. until 12:20 p.m. So that's about a 25-minute window there. So and for the Wednesday night, that's going to be Wednesday night, every Wednesday during the challenge from 9 to 9:30. You're going to dial into Zoom and get that special training that we're going to have. It's going to be recorded. If for any reason you miss it because you got something else going on, family, business, whatever, you'll be able to go in and take a look at that because it'll be recorded and that'll come out to you guys as well. Yeah, that's 9 o'clock p.m. 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, guys. So, and again, all of that will be in the details of the email that you're going to get, because everybody that download the documents, you're going to get an email because I have your email. Plus, everybody that told Tilly's over the last few weeks that they want to join, she has sent you your information. So you'll be getting an email letting you guys know what's going on. So we're super excited about this challenge that's going to be happening, guys. I heard back from Ray Higdon today. So I'm excited about the next training, guys. So starting June 1st, we're going to be, because this is going to end our training that we're doing now, the 6-week training on class 3. The last day is the 22nd of May. So starting June 1st, there's going to be another class starting, which is going to be Go for No for Network Marketers. That's going to be running 3 days a week as well. The same 3 days. We're going to be running it the same 3 days, the same time slots. So you don't have to worry about anything changing if you're going to be taking that class, right? Ray Higdon is the author of that book, along with Andrea Waltz. So the same way we just did this interview with Andrea Waltz, Ray Higdon has already agreed with me that he's going to let me interview him for 45 minutes, the same way we did Andrea Waltz. So you guys will be able to hear from him as well on the Zoom link that'll be YouTube Live as well. So we're going to keep that tradition going. And I believe, she can shake her head yes or no, or unmute her mic, but I believe that the fabulous Miss Tilly's is going to be helping with that as well. Look at her face. I don't know about that. If she is, you guys will know she'll be in all the material as well. If she's going to be helping, I'll be putting her on all of the different marketing materials. So you guys saw the link. If you didn't see the link, I'll put it back in here. You can already register for that training. Registration now is $29, the early bird special. That's going to be like for the next 48 hours, guys. After that, it's going up to $39 because that's what the course costs, because it's a lot of money and time that goes into creating the workbook, putting together everything, all of those different things. So keep in mind, right now, the training is $29 to register for it. The link is already in the chat. If you don't see the link, let us know. We'll get the link in this chat. But after the next 48 hours, it's going to go up to $39 for that training, for that second training that we're going to be doing, which is Go for No for Network Marketers. And the authors are Ray Higdon, Andrea Waltz, and Richard Fenton. So we're excited about that. We're excited about you guys sticking around. So Tilly's, I called on you a little while ago. I don't think you heard me. So I'm going to go ahead and open up your mic if you got anything to add or whatever. And I'll get the link put back in here for the challenge. I'll get all the links put in here. The Zoom link to register for the challenge and the link for the training. I'll get those things put in here.
Yeah, I mean, guys, what a fabulous, fabulous night. Thank you all for coming on and supporting and getting to hear from Andrea. So that was so good. I had to put on my inner Oprah. Did y'all see me? Like I had my inner Oprah look, right? So anyway, guys, I don't really have much to add. I hope you do join the Go for No for Network Marketers. I do realize not everyone on here is in network marketing, but if you would like to come on, you saw me shine, I was like my Oprah. But you know, not everyone is a network marketer. I do understand, but I think there's a lot to be learned from that, from the network marketing portion. I don't know if I'll be doing all 3 nights, but I do plan to support on at least one night, and maybe on the Saturday. So, but please join in. I think that this challenge that we have coming up is really going to change the game. I have a gentleman on my team, Darnell. I don't know if he's here tonight, but Darnell actually started just trying it out just to see how it would go. And he called me today. He said, it takes a long time to get the no's, right? And so I said, wow, what a different change of thought, right? Because he was making calls today and he took the longest time to get, he couldn't even get to 5 no's, guys, 5 no's in his allotted time. So if you really dial into this, if you really tune into this, it could really change the way you make your phone calls, the way you talk to people, because it got to a point, he said he was making his calls. He just wanted people to hurry up and say no. Hurry up and say no. And I think he got maybe 2 no's out of the allotted time that he had to make his calls. So if you really take this challenge seriously, get your marbles, make sure that you be accountable, and I promise you, your business will completely change. And the way you think about that no, the how it affects you, the confidence that you'll build from that is going to be phenomenal. So make sure that you guys take that very seriously. And thank you, Mr. Dunbar, for putting that together for us. I know that I'm going to do it because last year when my team, our team, decided to go for no and read the book for the first time, it literally, I'm saying literally, guys, exploded everything. And now most of them don't even fear that no anymore. They're looking for that no, and really, it really changed the whole game for their teams as well. Estella, did you have something?
I am just joining, and I would like to get the challenge. I'm not on your list, and he said you were going to send some information out to people. So I put something in the chat, but I'm not sure you saw it or not. I put my email in there.
Okay, I'll make sure that Mr. Dunbar gets your name and your email so that he can add you to our list. Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey, Estella, the link is there. I put the link there. So if you click that link that says the Go for No, it says hold on, let me see. Go for No. Which one is it? Hold on, because I got a couple links in here.
Yeah, you got
okay. It says
Workbook
30-day Go for No challenge registration link. If you click that link, that link will register you for the Zoom, like for the Go for No. And again, that'll let us know that you're being a part. So you'll get the email with the other things as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Sue. Sue says,
and how do I get the recordings from the prior ones, prior meetings? Since I'm just joining, I was on another event, so I couldn't.
You're talking about the links from the first course.
Yeah, from the earlier, from the earlier courses. Rosalind,
I already emailed you.
You did? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you are on this.
I emailed you a few hours ago. I emailed you some information when I saw that you went in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
If you don't see it though, for any reason, just call me and let me know. Let me put my number in here for you guys. If anybody needs anything, this is my number. But I did email, and I emailed you to both emails I had on file still, because I had 2 different emails for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did. I definitely emailed you. So I wanted to pull something up that I didn't get a chance to mention. I know some of you guys have seen this because y'all guys are already in the course. Some of you guys haven't seen it. But these are all documents that you guys are going to receive as well. So this here, like I said, this is the fillable document. Here, This is just a document talking about disciplining your disappointments, and I'll go over those real quickly just so you know what they are. But the rejection marble madness, this is how we want you to partake in the challenge so that you can get through the cause easier. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to, guys. It's not anything you have to do, but we just want you to have, we want to make it easier, right? So the marble madness activity is get you a bag of marbles, 50 or 100 count. You can get them from a dollar store for about, $1, right? 2 separate dishes. Preferably dishes that you can't see through, because I don't want you counting how many marbles you put in one dish from the other. We want you to concentrate on just getting through the dials, right? So try to put it in something that you can't see through. You're going to dump the amount of marbles in one dish that represent the amount of no's you intend to chase. So if you're saying I'm going to do 10 no's today, put 10 marbles in a dish, and then as you get a no, you're going to take it out that one dish and put it in the second dish. So you see that last bullet point? Dial until you empty dish 1 into dish 2. That is how you're going to do that exercise so that you get through your no's, right? And then we talked about this in training, but if you guys haven't been in the trainings because you're not part of that training course, the failure mindset, right? The willingness to fail versus the wantingness to fail. So right here we've got, you're gonna get these documents where you can check those boxes and let us know how you feel, and let you know, because we're not gonna see it when you do it, right? But it's just an exercise for you to do so that you know where you're at, right? A means of failing when a person will tolerate just enough failure to get what they need from life and no more. This failure mindset usually causes the salesman or saleswoman to allow the minimum to be their maximum. If that's who you are, you're gonna click, right? Willingness, because that means a person is willing to fail, right? And then here it says a means of failing when you are not just tolerating the no's in your life, but you are actually beginning to seek them. When you develop this failure mindset, rejection starts to be fun. And if you're there, you're gonna click on wantingness, right, to fail. And then down here, you're just gonna put in here just some notes, right? It says, which failure mindset have you taken ownership of and why? And you're just gonna write some notes, right, to yourself. Because again, this is about you getting yourself better, making sure you understand where you're at so that you can look back at this and figure out where you're at. So later on, when you're better, you can say, this is where I was at, this is where I grew from. So you can use those fillable boxes to do that with those documents. So you'll get those documents. And this is just setting you up to inspect what you expect, right? So it says the first question, how many no's are you willing to take per day to reach your destination? And it's got A, B, C, D, and you can mark whichever one that's gonna, is your answer to the question. Question number 2, do you know your yes to no ratio, right? Either you know it or you don't. Then C is, I haven't tested my ratio in a while, and I don't know what a yes to no ratio is. And the yes to no ratio is, if you made 10 calls, how many yeses versus how many no's do you get? Because that's how you find out what your percentage is, what your ratio is of yes to no. Number 3, are you willing to time block in order to create a routine call time window, right? Yes, no, a time block won't fit into my schedule or calendar, and I've tried this before and it didn't work. And then number 4 is, when prospecting, do you count the results from your activity or do you measure your activity, right? So I count my results, I measure my activity and count my results, or I haven't done any prospecting of any type. And of course, the correct answer for number 4 is you should be measuring your activity, not counting your results. But that says, Robert, are we able to make the font larger? I don't believe so. If you can, I wouldn't know how you would do that on a fillable document. So I can't really say that you can't. I'm not sure. I know when I'm putting it in, when I'm creating that document, it doesn't give me the ability to give you a larger font. So that's pretty much, it just gives me the ability to make it fillable. Here you see it says, discipline your disappointments. Your probability is what your probability is what your probability is, right? So the only way to change your yes to no ratio is to get better at your sales pitch, advertising method, and your follow-up. So here is just give you an example, right? No answer, right? No. You call it, you're getting all no's and the no answer, right? Nothing changes your probability, but an increase in your skill set. How do you increase your skill set? By making more calls, right? You make more calls. Now you want to discipline your disappointment. 2 closings out of 10 reached means just that. 2 closings out of 10 reached. Too many times we expect to see the good before the bad to increase our faith in a thing. Discipline your disappointments by allowing the entire process to complete and be excited about your activity, not your results. So you see here, it says your yeses may be at the end of your day of prospecting. So you're still getting no's, right? See on this sheet, you no answer than no's. Here, still get no's, still get no's, still get no's, no answer. And then you get your yes. Well, what did you make on that yes, right? How much did you make on that yes? Did you sell a business plan, right? Did you sell a business plan? Did it net you, right, $412? And you're going to put that in there, right? Because you made that amount of money. Did you just sell a family plan or a CDL plan? Or did you open up a group with that deal? And is that group going to net you, right, $1,300? When you sell to that group. So put that in there. So now you're looking and you're saying, hey, this is what happened, right? I called and I got no's. But when I got yeses, I put this money in my bank account, right? Direct deposit. So again, this is meant to encourage you to understand that you're going to get a bunch of no's to get to the yeses. And sometimes those no's are going to be all you get in the beginning and the yeses are going to be at the end, right? Ask Carlo Brown, right? Ask Carlo Brown how it felt when he knocked on 20 doors and got no, and the 21st door was Kevin Mack. Right? Kevin Mack is on this team because he knocked on a 21st door, and that's whose door it was. It was Kevin Mack's storefront when he was selling clothes at the time, before he became a millionaire club member and a $200,000 ring earner here with Legal Shield, with several millionaire club members and ring earners on this team. Everybody from Danny Couture to probably some of the people that are on here on this Zoom tonight that are on Kevin Mack's team, all because Carlo Brown didn't let the first 20 no's discourage him from getting that 21st yes that he received. So just keep that in mind, guys. That is what this challenge is about. Again, this sheet here is going to be fillable for you to be able to put whatever you have going on in there as far as your no's, and you can use that sheet to kind of track what you've got going on. So see if I got any questions down here. Are we able to make the font larger? Answer that. On your screen, you can increase the zoom size in the settings. Good stuff, Tamila. Appreciate that. Sue Finney, what am I doing wrong if I can't get the fillable document up to be fillable? You may be pulling the wrong document, Sue. Sue, I sent you several documents because you've been with us the whole time. So you may be pulling up one of the ones that I sent you originally that wasn't fillable. So just go into your emails and look at what, because like inside of the workbook, it's not fillable. I sent you a separate document with just those 6 pages that are all fillable. So you probably just pulling up the wrong document. That's all. Yeah. If you can't find it for some reason, just let me know and I'll resend it to you. Good. Anybody have any questions about anything before we go? Tilly's, you got anything? No, just unmute yourself and talk if you got anything you want to say.
Nope. That's it. We do have class tomorrow, and Saturday. So if you have any more questions, you can hop back on any of those.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget too, tomorrow we got week five for Thursday. And then on Saturday, class number 3, we are on week 4. We're on week 4. So remember, you guys can still jump on all of those different trainings. Estella, you can jump on all of them now that you're registered. And then, you're going to still get a recording package of everything all packaged up there. So good. Anybody else before we close out?
Yes. This is Miss Barbara Albert. I thought I registered today, but I'm not too sure. Barbara Albert. And
register for what? The class is coming up in June, or for the one that we're on now?
Well, the $29, the one that you just sent. I thought I did, but I thought I remember seeing that, but I'm really not too sure.
So if you look at your email, you will see something, because as soon as you register, you get an email from PayHip saying that you registered with a receipt. So
Okay,
you should have
I'll
gotten
check
You
that.
should have gotten one. If you don't see that receipt,
Then I'll just go ahead and register. Yeah,
that means that you didn't. And really, if you give me 30 seconds, I can check too as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else with any questions?
Well, and also, can I participate in these the trainings that you guys have now?
Hold on 1 second. Let me check something first.
Thank you.
I don't see what is your email? Let me ask you that.
It's Barbara Albert 88 at Gmail.
Okay, so no, you haven't registered. You're not.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'll do that.
Yep. And as far as answering your other questions, so just so you guys know, this is for anybody else, because I know Estella just did it herself as well. So this is the deal. The course that we're doing now, that course was $39. So anybody that wanted to become a part of that course after it started, I cut the price in half to $19.50. So the $19.50 will allow you to be in the courses live, but then after the courses are over, you're going to still get another email packaged up where you're going to get every course that you missed. So you're going to get 18 trainings, because it's 6 classes going. I mean, 3 classes going with 6 weeks each class. And because we say things a little bit different because it's not scripted, I'm sending everybody everything. So if you took class 1 all 6 weeks, you didn't take class 2 and class 3 because you were in class 1 because it was the same information. But some things we said differently because there were different people in those classes. So you heard different responses and different people had different comments. So I'm sending all 18 of those 2-hour trainings to everybody who's registered. Plus you'll have the entire workbook course, which is over 80 pages. So that's what you're getting for the $19.50. Plus you can get on all of the rest of the ones that we still have left. So that if anybody wants to do that, you have the ability to do that. And I'll throw that link in here as well for that. Anybody else have any questions about anything?
No, sir.
Good. Going once.
Thank you.
Going twice. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw that. If you need to go ahead and jump off, go ahead and jump off. I'm gonna throw that.